Well, November is National Adoption Month, and we know that families are created in so many different ways, adoption being one of them. Joining now to discuss is a parenting author, Julie Cole, back on the show with us. Great to have you, Julie. And for the first time, Dallas Lombardi on the show. Good to see you, Dallas.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And you're a mom who has 2 kids who have been adopted.
I am.
We'd love to hear your story about it, and even educating us too on the proper way to address things and talk about things. Do you find that with people not sure how to go about addressing adoption?
Because the language and you're afraid to misstep. Like, how do you deal with it?
It's something I do daily.
Okay.
It is. Yes.
What about the question about perceived adoption as the last resort? Do you get that? Does that trigger something?
It is. That is very triggering for a lot of people. Infertility is not. Adoption is not a solution for infertility. Right. That is so important. That could be a whole conversation on its own. But you know, if you are someone who is or has gone through infertility, there's a whole healing process that has to happen. They're 2 separate things.
Issues.
Yeah, and that's something that's really important to know for sure.
Right, and like, do you find too that, because I know for me, when my son was diagnosed with autism, a lot of people are like, oh, he's so lucky to have you. Do you feel like there's this like savior thing around people who adopt? Like that they're kind of on a pedestal, such good people. Look, they've adopted these children that nobody wanted. Like, what is the mythology around that?
It's very romanticized. So it's this, you know, the adoptive parent is the hero and the child is lucky. And again, that like, if you think about it from the adoptee's perspective, that's just not true. It's not the reality. There's so many layers that as a family we deal with. And as the adoptive parent, I don't feel like a hero most of the time. I'm a grief manager and there's a lot of things that we're dealing with, but a hero is not how it feels. It's so hard to manage all of these feelings that they have. So
right.
How was the process going through it?
Like the beginning part?
Well, just with being able to, the difficulties to actually have your kids. Being able to
what
have
kind
them.
of hoops did you jump through?
Right.
Oh, well, it's a whole process. Yeah, the first step is it's something called pride training, so everybody has to do it. Don't ask me about the acronyms right now.
Right. Yeah, no problem.
But to be honest, a lot of people don't make it through the pride training, and that's something that's done through the Children's Aid Society, at least in my case. And you know, there's that process, which is like where you have the realization of what this is really going to be like. And you start to understand the trauma piece to this, which often people don't even know is a part of it. And then there's the home study, which we've all seen on TV, you know, the social workers in your house, which kind of is accurate. It's pretty intrusive, not in a negative way, but this person like literally knows everything about you. And then if you get adopt approved and you want to go ahead with it, you wait.
Right.
And the matching process is not adoptive parent to child, it's they're matching the child to the adoptive parent. So it can take a long time.
What was the day like when you got the call?
How much time did you get?
It was the best day.
You're getting them tomorrow. Buckle up.
Oh, well, that's a whole other, that's the thing that people don't realize. It's like, I didn't have 9 months to even mentally prepare. You get the phone call, which was the best day ever, by the way.
Yeah.
And so there was less than 2 months between the phone call and the first child moving home with me. So, you know, there's a transition plan. I work full time, you know, trying to exit work, set up your house. Like it's wild.
And then the process too, because I actually looked into international adoption at one point, and that's a whole completely different process, right? And I think when people are like, well, why don't you just adopt? There's no just adopting. There are a series of barriers. And I know for me, mine was that I had been sponsoring this little girl in an orphanage in India, and I wanted her. Okay. And so, but the way the policy works is you can't handpick a child. So I could have said, I want a little girl who lives with disabilities, but I just wanted her. So that was a deterrent, and I see why that policy exists. All these policies are there to protect the children. Yeah. But it's a process.
Yeah. We've run out of time. Can we say how old they are?
Yeah.
How old are they?
They're 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Oh, amazing. Well, thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And as always, the conversation continues when it comes to parenting because it's always evolving and always changing. Just like Morning Live. We'll see you in a couple minutes.